Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I really do not know how to start off this video because there is some very important information in this video, and I have been putting off making this for a very long time just because I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I have wanted to be able to convey this information in a very informative way. So not only do you understand the meaning behind why not to say this stuff, but also the context in which someone with an eating disorder's brain can twist stuff and how we perceive these advice or support. So these are the things not to say to someone with an eating disorder. I know a lot of these comments are, well, like good intentions behind them, but someone that's in a very fragile place, especially when they're malnourished, our brains just manage to twist things and keep us trapped in this illness even more. So the kind of reasoning behind this video and this idea popping into my head is just about a month ago I had a very big kind of turning point within my eating disorder. It's not something that I really like to talk about because of some of the reasons that I will tell you soon. I had a bit of a scare and it was definitely kind of what I needed almost to realize what I was doing to myself, and the fact that I've wasted a very long time within this illness and I have literally got nothing out of it. And all these promises that my anorexia continues to keep me trapped by have never ever gone through with what sense of control or safety that they're supposed to provide me with, and they just end up making me feel worse. I realized that I've actually got things that I want to do with my life and I cannot do them whilst engaging in eating disordered behaviours, and this is the first time in my life and in the time that I've been unwell that I've actually wanted to change and wanted to get my life back. And I've already gotten back into a few things that I stopped doing when I got really unwell. Like, for instance, I went back to surf club training on the weekend and I have not been that happy in a long time. I can barely walk because I definitely overestimated any form of strength or endurance that I had left. But oh my gosh, it was so rewarding and I loved it, and this is one of the biggest motivations now to get well, get back into the things that I love. But so that's kind of really in a nutshell what's been going on for the past little bit for me. But during this past month and this entire 6 years that I've been struggling with an eating disorder, I have heard probably all of these comments more times than I can count. When you're struggling, it's really hard to be like, yo, don't say that to me, that makes me feel even worse. And so I wanted to make this video to explain some of the things not to say. I said lots of these comments are people have good intentions behind them, but the way our brains perceive them and twist them to beat us up even more. Yeah, so these are some of the things not to say to someone with an eating disorder. So the first thing, and I cannot stress this enough, is that eating disorders are a mental illness, not a physical one. Yes, they have physical side effects, but do not ever comment on anyone's body type or what they look like, or if they're looking one of the biggest things. And it's people are trying to be supportive with this comment, but saying that you look healthier or that you look better is it is probably the smallest comment that has the most amount of harm associated with it, because straight away your brain, someone else says, oh, you're looking healthier now, your brain goes, oh my god, I'm fat. Because so many people still associate it, especially anorexia, with looking a certain way. And so that is one of the reasons why I don't like talking about my eating disorder, because I am terrified of the comment, which I have gotten in the past when I first got unwell, was, oh, well, you don't look anorexic. Anorexia is not a body type, it is a illness, it is a disease, and you cannot look like you have it. I can't stress that enough. And that goes to do anything with weight as well. So saying, talking about your own weight, I find personally really triggering. After being in lockdown, everyone's kind of making jokes about weight and whatnot, but if someone that you know around you is struggling with an eating disorder or has in the past, little comments like that can be so triggering and very easily set us back. So yeah, any comments on physical appearance or weight or anything, just please try and refrain yourself from them, and a while to understand what goes on inside our heads, or try to understand, especially if you've not struggled with an eating disorder yourself. It is really hard, and some of these things are going to sound pretty crazy that I've said in the past or that I'm about to say. When you sit down, and again this has been another changing point for me recently, it's like, or talking to people, trying to explain things, it's like, this actually does not make any sense whatsoever, yet I've been doing this stuff for years now. Again, it's gotten me nowhere. It doesn't make sense, none of this crap is logical, yet I'm still doing it. Again, to do with the looks and stuff, with the comments about appearance, and saying that someone doesn't look anorexic or look like they have an eating disorder. This is one thing that lots of people get confused about. My puppy's here. Say hi, Misty. Someone needs to go to the groomers tomorrow. Is that there is no certain weight or BMI that you need to be at to be diagnosed with an eating disorder. Yes, in the past, in the DSM, there was specific criteria. You can have an eating disorder at any weight. You do not need to be classified as underweight to have an eating disorder, no matter what it is. You can be overweight and have anorexia. If you are suppressing your body weight, where you're naturally supposed to sit at, you are considered underweight for your body type, because we are all different. And Tabitha Farrar has some amazing content on explaining that. Me trying to explain this is not going to do any justice for the actual reasoning behind this and medical studies and whatnot, so I definitely recommend checking out any of her content for more information on that. And again, to do with that kind of weight stereotype, it's the whole, like, when I first got unwell, I was not taken seriously, I guess, until things were medically very serious, and that is probably the biggest fault in the system around eating disorders, that, and just mental health in general, is that they don't really take you seriously until you are at crisis point or you're on your deathbed, which I find awful and so horrible, because the longer you're struggling with this disease, the harder it is to change that. Not saying that it's impossible, no, just makes it a lot harder when these thoughts and behaviors are ingrained and they're habitual. And another thing which I'm really struggling with at the moment is not only people around you, but again medical professionals, thinking that once you gained weight and your weight restored back at a healthy weight, that you're cured. Again, eating disorders are a mental illness, not a physical one. Yes, with physical side effects, but weight will never and can never determine the severity of your eating disorder. One of the things that I find very unhelpful, people label food as good and bad. It used to be all over social media, different types of diets and whatnot, and just crap. And I know things are changing now, but even like if I'm sitting at a cafe and I hear someone being like, oh, this is my cheat day, having a muffin, or oh, like, I know I shouldn't be having this is naughty kind of thing. If I hear someone saying like, oh, I shouldn't eat this today because I had this yesterday, or I shouldn't eat that because whatever crap reason they're making up with, my brain automatically goes, oh, they said they can't have that, so you're never allowed to have that ever again in your entire life. Again, does not make any sense whatsoever, but that's what goes on in my head. I hear it quite often, and I know so many people just say it in passing and they don't think about it. If I'm catching up with someone later in the afternoon, or again, even if I just overhear someone saying something, of being like, oh, I haven't eaten all day, and I'm sitting there and I've actually followed my meal plan and had breakfast and morning tea and lunch and afternoon tea, and I'm sitting there challenging these thoughts that are constantly going on in my head, and I hear someone say, oh, like they've been restricting or they're fasting, I need to do a whole nother video on that kind of stuff. If I hear someone else saying that, that makes me feel like a fake and a fraud, and it's like, oh, well, they haven't eaten, so you shouldn't either. So yeah, I struggled with about talking about my eating disorder is people labeling you as anorexic or bulimic or whatever you may struggle with. The last thing in the world that I want to be known as is Hayley the anorexic, or Hayley the girl with an eating disorder, which is again one of the biggest motivations for me to change and recover from this. But having that label just reinforces the fact that your eating disorder is the only special thing about you. One of the reasons why for so long I was hesitant to even consider recovery is that I felt like my eating disorder was the only special thing about me. When again saying that out loud just makes me realize how messed up that is, and the fact that I let that thought keep me trapped for so long. And again, it's still something that constantly comes into my mind, but I'm trying to use self-validation to actually make some sense of this. Now, some of these comments I know people hear and a lot more than they should be. The amount of times I was told, quite often by older people, that again have no clue, but if I mention anything about my eating disorder, there's the comment of, oh, I wish I had your willpower, or I wish I had that kind of, I don't even know. It's just, it's so dumb. You don't, it's not willpower. It is soul destroying. It ruins your life. It's not a freaking choice. That is, eating disorders are not a choice. There are so many factors that play into it for me. A big one is genetics, as well as growing up in an invalidating environment and having trauma thrown in the mix and every other thing. They are never a choice. Someone doesn't wake up and go, oh, I'm gonna have an eating disorder today. Like, that is not how it works, and you do not want to experience anything that goes with an eating disorder. And anyone that's watching this that is struggling with an eating disorder, I'm so sorry, because that I would never wish this on my worst enemy ever. And one that I always got told when I was younger was the whole, oh well, if you think you're fat, like, what do you think of me? I am so, and I still am, I'm not gonna lie about that, I'm so preoccupied with not even how I look, because eating disorders aren't about looks, they're kind of the sense of control and safety. I'm so preoccupied by this and numbers and every other compulsion that comes with this disease. I don't even have the time to think about what I'm doing tomorrow, let alone what someone else looks like. So those are the main points that I have at the moment. I definitely will make a part 2 on this, so if you have any other things, please comment below. But I have a list right here of things that people sent me that they've been told, and so I'm just going to read it out just to make sure that I kind of covered everything. And if there is something that didn't really make sense, please leave a message me on Instagram or leave a comment asking any question. No question is a dumb question. This is why I want to start talking about this more often, so I can help people that are in a vulnerable state, as well as help their loved ones and people surrounding them understand what not to do and what not to say when they are struggling, to provide them with that support and the positive encouragement they need without accidentally triggering them into a downwards spiral. So these are some of the things that I got that I will explain in a part 2. So, just eat more. You're looking healthier now. You look like you're doing a lot better. That's so gross. Why would you starve yourself? But you don't look anorexic. How are you eating that much? That is going to be another whole video, and thank you Tabitha Farrar for explaining this very in depth. But once you have deprived yourself of something for a very long time, i.e. a certain food group, that is all your body wants once you start eating again. Just Google extreme hunger and eating disorder recovery, please. Just eat well and exercise to lose weight in a healthy way. You do not need to suppress your body weight in any way at all. You are freaking amazing and beautiful the way you are, and your worth is not defined by a number. Maybe just go for a run. That will make you feel better. Some people, yes. Me, I used to like running, but then when I started doing it as a part of my eating disorder crap, I freaking hate running. Running triggers the absolute heck out of me, and if I started, I probably will not be able to break that cycle again. Why don't you eat? It's not that hard. I might as well not buy that food if you're going to throw it up. It's just a phase. Congrats, you ate. Do not draw unwanted attention to someone. please. I wish I had your willpower. Stop being so attention seeking. The last thing we want when you're struggling with an eating disorder is attention. Why we hide away, we wear baggy clothes, we try not to talk about it. It's the whole I'm fine, I'm not hungry kind of crap. The last thing that we want is attention, or attention drawn to us when we are struggling so much, and the only thing that we can find to cope with what else is going on in our lives is food and lack of, or use of food to numb emotions and whatnot. You're overweight, you can't have an eating disorder, you don't look like you have an eating disorder. How much do you weigh? This is how much I weigh. You're not underweight, it's not that bad. Just eat, grow out of it. You've put on so much weight since I last saw you. If someone's putting on weight, that's probably actually a good thing, and it means that they need to gain weight. You looked so much better when you were carrying a lot less weight. Yeah, but they were probably very, very, very close to dying, regardless of what they weigh and what it's classed as in a dumb freaking BMI crap stuff. If you can't tell, this stuff gets me very fired up. I do intermittent fasting. There's a difference between skipping meals and having eating disorder. Yeah, but intermittent fasting can very, very, very easily lead into an eating disorder, especially when someone already has the genetic components of an eating disorder, and going into a calorie deficit can very easily trigger that. If you have an eating disorder, you're a liar and manipulative. I haven't eaten all day. Labeling food as good and bad, and then if you think you're fat, I don't want to know what you think of me. So this video ended up being a lot longer than I thought it was, and I'm probably just rambling, and I've probably repeated everything that I've said 1,000,001 times, but I really just wanted to start this off and say some of the biggest things that were on my mind and things that I've heard over the past month that I do not believe anyone struggling with an eating disorder or in recovery from an eating disorder should hear or should have to hear, because they are so detrimental, and I cannot express that enough. But if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much. If you are watching this for your own sake and you are struggling with an eating disorder, I'm so sorry that you have to go through this, but I totally believe in you. And I'm still in the very, very, very beginning stages of this, and it's so hard, and I cannot stress that enough, and it is so terrifying. Yesterday I had a meltdown, no lie, in the middle of Kmart because I had to go up a size in pants, which absolutely triggered the heck out of me, and I just started crying and I could not stop. And I definitely put a show on for everyone in the mall. My mum helped me up, I stopped crying, and I went and got sushi for lunch. Like, it's terrifying, it's so scary letting go of this, but then at the same point you can't live a full life like on an empty stomach. Like, I know it's cliche, but it is so, so, so true. And being able to get back into the stuff that I used to love before I got unwell is so rewarding, and actually being able to look forward to a future that I know at some point isn't going to be controlled by food and the fear of food and avoidance of food. And if you are watching this video for someone that you love that's struggling with an eating disorder, or you're just curious, thank you so much for having an open mind and being willing to look at what you may be saying that could be affecting someone with an eating disorder, whether you know or not that they are struggling. So I cannot thank you enough. Yeah, remember to like and subscribe, and I shall do a part 2 at some point in the future. So thank you so much. Say bye, Misty. Bye, Shaggy. Next time you see her, she'll actually look like a puppy and not a ball of matted fluff.